Welcome back. Good morning. Kent Bain with 9 Business Group and Elevate Your Chat. Business Spotlight interview. We have Jeff Griffiths joining us today with Workforce Strategies. Jeff, please introduce yourself. More importantly, what you guys do, what sets you apart.
Yeah, hi Kent, thanks for having me. Jeff Griffiths, I'm a certified management consultant with Workforce Strategies International out of Calgary, Alberta. Relatively new company. Been around since 2018. What do? We're competency geeks, I guess. So we're competency-based organizational and workforce development for mostly industrial companies, small to mid-size. And I think what sets us apart is the notion of the kind of that blue collar mentality. We're really focused on the people who, with dirt under their fingernails, who are actually generating revenue for companies. The skills and value of those people is where the money gets made. Everybody else is overhead. Sometimes they're useful overhead, but they're overhead.
So, keeping on that topic, one thing that comes to mind is this, what I hear in the news as declining workforce. We have less and less trades. We have robots coming over, artificial intelligence. What are you seeing in the marketplace? Not to mention, let's throw in the other curveball of we've spent the last 15 years teaching our young people to sit down, shut up, and play a video game. So take those three. Now we have this culture in North America of don't want to, don't know how to, don't have any skills. My skills may not be needed in 10 years anyway. Now an entrepreneur. I got a company. What the heck do I do with this mess? Insert Jeff.
Yeah, that's a good question. And, they always say, again, I mean, I'm an entrepreneur as well, I suppose. And an entrepreneur is someone who works 80 hours a week because they don't want a job, right? And when you start out small, the hardest thing for an entrepreneur to do is give away the controls. Right. And so the notion of you have to grow this through a team. You need other people around, ideally who are smarter than you are. You hire them because they're smarter than you are. You actually have a process for making sure they're smarter than you are. Competency-based hiring. And then you let them do their job. Right. And it's interesting because in Alberta, we have the vast majority of companies in Alberta are tiny, right? I mean, 10 people or less. The owner is the key decision maker. The owner's used to being the smartest guy in the room. And the reality is that with technology that are changing, with the workforce that's changing, with the markets that are changing, with regulatory environments that are changing, everything's moving so fast now. You can't be the smartest guy in the room anymore. And that's a really hard thing for an entrepreneur to give up, is this notion that I give up control because that allows me to get more control. The hardest thing any new entrepreneur does is hire the first new person who's not a subcontractor who's paid on a particular job, but is actually a paid employee. It's the absolute hardest thing to do. And most entrepreneurs fail at that point because they have no idea how to do it. They have no idea how to grow that person. They don't have a clue on exactly what they were hiring them to do or what that means or what the skill sets are to do that. In many cases, they're hiring for a set of skills that they don't have. So they can't provide direction and control. So their entire management approach, which is traditionally very micromanagement, doesn't work because they can't micromanage to a set of skills they don't have. And then the individual who they hired, who may or may not be the right person, might be, smart as a whip, but soon gets frustrated and leaves because it's not a conducive environment. It's not a growth environment for them. And people tend to leave their jobs. They don't leave their work. They leave their manager. They leave their boss. So where do we come into that? I think it starts with alignment of the organization's current and future structure, the right people with the right skills aligned the right way in a proper structure with proper accountabilities and things like that to support the strategy and the objectives that the organization has. Most small companies, again, they grow organically. You kind of bolt on pieces here and there. And as the business evolves, you find out that the organizational structure, the skill sets, and the who's doing what doesn't necessarily properly align with the strategies of the business. And so there's a lot of waste. There's a lot of inefficiency that comes out of that. And again, people get frustrated, they get disengaged, and they bail. Right. And
What size
inevitably, if
company
you're
do you typically deal with? Sounds like
uh,
probably 20 to 50 employees.
yeah, I mean, we're beyond, two guys with a cool idea in the garage. Um, Normally we'll get involved when you're 20 plus employees. 50 to 100 seems like a really good number for us. So the companies that are growing, but they're not yet, ready to buy SAP to manage their human capital, right?
Gotcha. Yeah. When you look back over years of experience in business,
Mhm.
in the military, if there was one lesson, the most salient lesson you've learned that you would like to go back and tell young Jeff when you went into business, what is that greatest lesson that you would like to impact on the young people of the entrepreneurs of tomorrow?
I think the biggest lesson is around vulnerability. You've got to be yourself. You have to abandon the notion that you've got all the answers, because you don't. But also the willingness to admit that you don't have all the answers, the willingness to admit that you're learning and growing all the time as well. And so the organization that's built that way is constantly learning and growing. It's constantly in what in educational terms they call their zone of proximal development. And so we don't know what the answer is. The world changes. We'll learn our way to an answer. And those and creating that kind of an environment allows the people around you to thrive and grow and be the best that they can be. And that's a really uncomfortable place for someone who's used to being in charge to be, because you don't have the answers. That for me,
I
that's
mean,
the
that is a great
key.
insight.
That's
I
the
think,
key.
no, I think it's huge. I think, the zone of development, what you call it, zone of proximate development,
Mhm.
learn our way to the answer.
Mhm.
I think of my greatest clients, pardon me, who've grown companies and accelerated growth, and the clients I've had who've stalled or got stuck, definitely is one of that part of letting the ego go, leaning into the team, growing the team. And the ones that get stuck is where the ego gets in the way. And there's that one or two final pieces of the ego where they just can't be vulnerable and real. And whether it be systemic, whether it be historical, something mom said, dad said, but that's all wrapped in there. That's fantastic. Thank you. One last question for you.
Sure.
There was a pirate or a thief in your business, what would they be stealing?
That's another really interesting question, Kent. And I mean, obviously they're looking for the gold, right? And the gut reaction is, oh, I'd want to hide some of the processes that we use, and I'd go hide my toolkit. But on reflection, the toolkit isn't particularly useful without the 70 years worth of experience in how to use the tools. So I think at this point in our business, what they would steal is the young woman who we hired a year or so ago, straight out of school, to look after our marketing and our digital stuff. Because if she's gone, we're screwed. Because we're a bunch of, we're stale, pale, and male. We're a bunch of old farts. What do we know about digital marketing? What do we know about this stuff? We have lots of expertise. She's the one that makes us look good, right? So if I was going to steal something, I would probably steal Jess, right? Because it's that dynamism of that young person, I think, is what has made us better in the year since Jess came on board. And that's not about a toolkit, and that's not about anything that's rattling around in my head, or Dirk's head or Peter's head, my business partners. It's about trying to translate what we do into imagery and messaging that appeals to the customer.
Fantastic. So to wrap this up, time for the shameless self plug. Which clients, what type of industry would you like to put on notice? And then lastly, where should these companies find you, get more information to learn more about what you do and how you can help them?
Yeah. So our core market are, small to mid-sized manufacturing, construction, maintenance service type companies. We've done a lot of work in that space over the years, kind of moving in some other directions now because the economy is changing. But that's still our core. That's where we live. That's where we feel good. We want to help them grow and thrive in a world that's completely, that's changing on them literally daily. And help them make the most of the resources and the skills and the people that they already have. To get a hold of us, www.workforcestrat.com is our website. They can contact us through there. They can contact me directly, jeff@workforcestrat.com, or hit me up via LinkedIn. By all means, I pretty much accept any request for a connection that comes in. And I love to have those conversations with people, and just give us a shout. I mean, if you've got an issue that we can solve or help you or give you a direction on in the space of a 10-minute phone conversation, we'll do it. Like I'm not going to send you a bill. Right.
That was great, Jeff. No, I do appreciate it. I love the insights on growing team. Also kind of talked about some of the challenges we face in an ever-growing marketplace. Because even with robots and automation, we're still human beings. We will still have human beings as employees, and we still service human beings, and we can't lose that ever.
Yeah, absolutely. We've talked a lot. We've done a lot of work on the strategic side with, skills and human capital and everything else. And what's showing up, certainly over the last 20 years, is that those skills that make you valuable in the marketplace are the skills that make you human, right? Because if your plan, is to be better, faster, and smarter than the machine, in most cases, you've already lost that fight.
Yeah.
So it's the human skills, what we used to call soft skills, but it's collaboration, it's communication, it's critical thinking, it's team problem solving. Those are the things that allow you to remain useful in the marketplace, well beyond your technical skills. And the interaction with technology to solve those problems is the future. As the machines will be digging the ditches, but it's up to the people to then manage the ditch digging machines. That's a different world.
It sure is. Thanks again, Jeff. Appreciate it. Have a great week, and looking forward to hearing the rest of the story as the years and months go by.
Excellent. Thank you, sir.